And I think, whoops, nope, here we try that again. And now we're live. I don't know what's happening, but at least it's working now. Welcome, everyone. It is Tuesday evening. It's the third Tuesday of the month, and it's time for our latest webisode. I can't sit still in my chair because I'm so excited with the show that we have for you today. I think you are going to be amazed, and you're going to just feel energized with what you're going to hear today. You're going to learn, we're going to share. It's really about having real conversations with real people, and hopefully it's helping you in your life in one way or another. For those of you that don't know, I'm Carmen Milagro. I'm a confidence strategist. I'm a consultant. I do different things. I'm an EntreprenArtist. That's how I identify myself as an adult. When I was a child, I always identified myself as an artist. And I'm your host for Confidence Strategies. And thank you for joining us. I know that today is a day full of lots of emotions. So if you're feeling those emotions and you want to sort of shift and reside in a positive place, regardless of where you are in the world, this is the time to do it. Do it with us here. We've got just some really great information, and more importantly, we've got positivity for you. So we're always glad that you're joining here with us. Feel free to ask any questions during the interview, but you can also post them on Facebook, on the YouTube channel, and we'll get to them and we'll try to respond to every single one. During these interviews, my hope is that you'll learn confidence strategies that help you grow and level up and maybe even sometimes reinvent yourself. We want everyone to be able to carve out a brighter future with bigger and better options. Our guests share their personal stories of triumph, but they also share with us challenges. They share with us their passions and their purpose. And sometimes they even come to us with opportunities that they are sharing with you. They're offering them to you. It's all good. It's all positive. We flourish and we shine together as a community. That's my hope. And I hope that you'll be inspired and you'll be encouraged and delighted and entertained. Tonight's webisode is, as always, sponsored in part by Music City, San Francisco. And now we get to the best part. I'm going to read this because I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. Our featured guest, who I actually recently interviewed on another platform for Live Thrive California, is Marcus Bellringer Bell. He's an American music composer, producer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist. He's a singer. He's a social media influencer. He's an activist and an EntreprenArtist. He's worked with Katy Perry, Nicki Minaj, Snoop Dogg, and many, many other artists. Marcus Bell is a well-known, multifaceted artist in the music industry, and he's also produced soundtracks for several television shows and films. But besides his music career, Marcus is also a successful entrepreneur. And one of his projects is a boot camp called Wealth and Impact. In this boot camp, and he's currently doing this, there's a 100 days challenge. And we're going to be talking about this. And what he does he does it throughout the year. The challenge is designed to help people achieve their goals in life, no matter what they are. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Marcus Bell. Hi, Marcus. How are you?
Hello, Carmen. So good to be on your show. Thanks for inviting me into conversation. Hello, live audience. I hope this live stream finds you well.
I'm so excited. I can't even talk, Marcus. This happened to me last time. I get so emotional because I know what they are going to learn about you. And I know that you have a lot to share about us with your 100-day challenge. But before we dive into that, I was hoping that we could share with them some of your stories from when you were young to how you got to this place, why you do what you do, and just really just give you the microphone to share what you want to share. But I do have one quick question before you start. I was asked, and I didn't know the answer to this because I didn't get a chance to ask it from you before. Why do they call you Bellringer?
Ah. So I graduated Berklee College of Music in Boston. And around the time I was at Berklee, I worked with this organization called Gang Peace in Boston that basically different gang members that were in that Boston area would come to this nonprofit, and they hired me to come in and work with some of the youth there and show them music production and hip hop, right? And so one day I was walking down the street with one of the participants in that program, and we had walked outside of the studio, and I was like, I need to come up with like a producer name or something like that, like an alias,
Right.
for my creative projects. And he said, "Oh, that's easy. You're the Bellringer." And so basically,
I love that.
so I said, okay. And it's so funny how the world, the universe, how things work. So for the next 2 weeks, all I kept getting, coming into my space was Bellringer, from in songs to to people saying things on television.
Right.
And there was this public speaker that said, someone needs to ring the bell for justice. Someone needs to ring the bell for, right? Like all these things that just said, that's it.
The universe agreed.
There it is. And I didn't resist it or anything like that. I just listened for it. And I think it's important that we listen for the messages that are given to us by youth, by those around us, those that care about us, that we listen for the feedback. See, that was feedback. So he was experiencing me in a particular way. So it made my question to him easy to answer, because for him, I was someone that was a bell ringer in his life. And so
you asked the question, you asked it of you were eliciting his response, and that was what came out of his heart.
Yeah. And the question that was there, so the surface level question was a name. But the deeper level question was, who am I for you? Who am I for the world?
Right. Yeah.
What should I be calling myself as a contribution to humanity? And so that's why I'm the bell ringer.
That's why you're the bell ringer. There are no accidents, right? That's what they say. There's no accidents.
Yeah.
I love what I learned from our last conversation, and I think it's really such a fascinating. You started out at such a young age. Can you share with our viewers when you started music, how you started music?
Sure. So I've been in the entertainment industry my entire life, right? So I'll step back and just say that my parents, my family, they created such a supportive environment that it just happened to be music. It could have been anything, right? Because they were just kind of paying attention. And in particular, my mother was really paying attention to what it was that I was drawn to. And so, and she was a professional athlete. And so she was a national tennis champion that played in the US Open. And she toured the country with Arthur Ashe back in the 60s.
Wow.
And she was one of the first African-American women to be in some whites-only tennis tournaments across the country. And so she was, a tennis prodigy. And the fascinating thing about her was that she picked up the tennis racket and became a national tennis champion in 2 years. Right? And so she knew a little something about prodigy.
Right, right.
And so, so I had this ability when I still have this ability to be able to to be able to be with objects for long periods of time. So they could give me some pennies, and I would just play with pennies for hours, or some rocks, and I would be fascinated with it and curious about it and so forth. And so my father, as the story was told to me, my father said, "You know what? I bet he'll be good on piano." And my grandmother had a piano, and so I'm 2 years old, and the thing that I remember was being 2 years old and sitting on phone books and playing the piano.
Right.
So by the time by the time I was 6, I was basically I got my first check when I was 6 years old.
Now you have to explain that.
Yeah, so so it wasn't just piano. It was also singing and musical theater, and I started doing some acting, and so I was doing arts. And so I got hired when I was 6, to play for an event. And so here's this, little kid coming in and playing for these events. And then when I was 9 years old, I got hired to replay a Whitney Houston song that they couldn't find the karaoke for. And that was my first time being, that's when I became a professional, because I guess when you get paid is when you start to become a professional.
Right.
I became a professional music producer when I was 9. And so when you talk about, EntreprenArtist.
Yep.
EntreprenArtist.
Yep.
Yeah, I love language.
I do too.
Right? And I love the creation of new words.
Right.
Like EntreprenArtist.
Yes.
So my EntreprenArtist background, I started my first record label when I was 12. So I was kind of in Virginia, I was in the newspaper, and on television, I was performing in front of a lot of people. And so it just made sense. I was writing songs already. So it's like, oh, okay, well, I need to start a record label. And so my first record label.
At 12.
Yeah. It's like, okay, here's an opportunity to share, to have something that people can take with them. Because what really kind of captured me about choosing music as a profession, the NAACP invited me to perform an original song for Martin Luther King's birthday event. And so I'll never forget, and I was playing the saxophone as well. So I played several different instruments, and I remember playing the saxophone at this event. And I was a little nervous because, it was like a lot of dignitaries there, and the tone with Martin Luther King's event thing, and I'm like the guest performer, and
you're
so
the headliner.
Yeah, I'm kind of headlining the thing, and it's my first time doing an original song and all of that, and I was sitting there and I'm like, ooh, it's like, oh, I hope this goes well. And I sang and played, and then, played the saxophone. And I remember, the tone of the audience was kind of, was very mellow and so forth.
Sure.
So I'm sitting there, and I'm playing the saxophone, and I close my eyes, and I stop playing at the end on this high note, and I open my eyes, and the room is completely different. People are out of their seats, cheering, chanting, people crying. And I knew in that moment,
the power.
This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to be able to impact people emotionally. I want to be able to change a room. People that are maybe down or having whatever issues, that to be able to provide a medicine that allows for them to really break out of whatever it is that they're experiencing. And so that started that journey.
Right. That's amazing. And you were how old at this event?
I was 8 then.
8. I just want to make sure that people are getting the the when you're doing this and what ages, because this, to me, it speaks to on 2 levels. And you and I were talking before we went live. The idea of the power that we have as a child, when we're given a voice, when we're giving those tools, when someone is there to support us in the choices that we make. For me, of course, art and music, those are the most powerful tools. I'm not saying that there aren't any other tools. Of course there are. But what you just described is what I would envision if I could change the world. It would be to give every child, besides food and clothes, of course, but music and art in the life of every single child, because to me, that would change the course of the entire world as we have seen where we are now. And to me, the future is in that realm. It is possible. And then the other part of this for me, when I hear your stories, it's that idea that, and you and I talked about this last time, that people have a tendency to want to take artists and just put them in this one box. Oh, they're creative, so they're not good in business, or they're musicians, and they're not interested in operations or logistics. And I think that's such a huge mistake. And I think that's where that world of, I love music, but I love business too. And it's really exciting to me when I meet other musicians who feel the same way, because not all musicians think this way, because they weren't taught that or for whatever reason. But simultaneously, as you're having these musical experiences, could you also share your entrepreneurial journey that is happening at the same time, like starting your own record label?
Yeah, sure. But first, I want to speak to something that you were pointing to before, around youth. So I think that there's a narrative that disempowers young people. So I have a 6-year-old daughter, and one of the things that I notice is the whole, what is it that you want to be when you grow up? I think that is the worst question, right? Because it's saying that you have to get to somewhere in order to become something.
Correct. Yeah.
And so when my daughter said to me a couple of weeks ago, I want to be blah, 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 blah when I grow up, I said, well, why don't you do that now?
Bravo. I love that so much.
Right. So it's not what you can't, it's what can you do and be right now, no matter what age you are.
I love that,
And
Marcus.
that is the context that you are providing an environment that is supportive in that way. Then what is possible then, right? So then it's okay, well, okay, how are you going to go about doing that, right? What ideas do you have? Now you start to spark creativity. What is it that you think that you need? What resources do you think you may need for that?
Right.
For doing it now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so that's what I heard in what you said. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And at the same time, you're instilling confidence right from the get-go. I mean, your daughter has already done some work for some other artists, if I heard you correctly before.
Some clips for people, like she recorded her first song when she was 2. She knows herself to be a songwriter, a creative, and a gymnast and dancer and all of that, right?
Right.
But it's wide open. She can be and ultimately have whatever it is that she is inspired for, inspired to.
Yeah.
And that's the environment that we are, creating, and is a community environment that allows her to thrive. And it's our responsibilities as caretakers of youth to create environments and fertile soil for a young person to be able to grow and manifest into whatever it is, that seed that's inside of them, that they discover, that they're allowed to discover, that they're able to water, that you give them the water to be able to water, that you give, an openness so that it can be manifested into the world now.
Exactly. Without limitations.
Without limitations. Or observing the limitations and finding ways to work inside of the limitations.
Or around them, or under them, or over them, or through
them, or skipping them, as a buddy of mine, Dan Burt, he has this thing called skip it.
Yeah, or not buy into it.
Right. Well, is there a possibility of this so-called problem that you may have, or that you've created, or that you may see? Is it a way to just skip that?
Right. Exactly.
So in my Wealth and Impact Bootcamp program, I talk about this type of thing a lot, because a lot of times we have these constructs, right? And it starts with being a young person with one day I'm going to, right? And so if I do this and do this and do this, then I'll do that thing that I really want to do, that's really big and huge and is going to make an impact on people and going to make a difference in the world and all that. But I'm going to do this first before I do the thing that I'm really called and inspired to do. So I say, just skip that. So skip the 4 years of this or that, or I'm going to go work over here, because it's going to take time to develop a big thing.
Right. Yes.
It takes time to develop something big. If your dream is big enough, it's going to take time to develop that big dream. So you might as well get at it right now.
Yes, exactly. I love this conversation, Marcus, because there's another thing that I hear all the time, and it kind of makes me cringe a little bit. It's, when people tell children, dream big, but then they never follow through with, and this is how you can do it. This is how you can achieve that dream. Yes, of course, dream big, but then give them the vocabulary, give them examples and tools of how to create that dream or achieve that dream, instead of just saying, okay, dream big, that's okay. And then you're just leaving them. It's like not having water wings when you're trying to teach them to swim. You wouldn't throw your child out into the swimming pool without the vest and the little, water wings. Yeah. So I think you and I are so like connected on so many of these topics.
And it's not just kids.
No, exactly, because some of
Adults.
these adults never had that.
Yeah. Well, there are many adults that are dreaming big and not taking action.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And so they're dreaming big, they're manifesting, being in one place. I'm going to manifest this thing in my life. Well, it's good to meditate and think on something that you want to do. And
absolutely,
you also have to couple it with action. And I don't, last time I checked, I don't know anyone that made anything happen being in their closet, manifesting in the closet without talking to someone, without getting in community, without taking some particular actions, without like that. It's not going to happen.
We are not Genie from My Dream of Jeannie.
Not going to happen. So it takes mentorship. It takes finding out where your gaps are, finding out the who can fill in the gaps. You don't necessarily need to know how. You just need to find the who's.
Yep. Yeah.
Because there's a who. There's a who.
Mm-hmm. They've already done it.
Yeah.
They figured out parts of that formula.
Yeah. And so to answer your question before about my entrepreneurial journey, I was very fortunate that I had some mentors when I was growing up. There was a period of time that my parents divorced and my father wasn't in my life for a period of time. And my mother, brilliant as she is, was, because she's passed away, but she would reach out to people that she read about or saw on television and say, hey, would you come and mentor my son? And so I had like the president of the Family Channel, executives at Eminent Mars. I had all these fabulous African-American male mentors that would take me to lunch and we would have conversations about my business.
Your mother was brilliant. Brilliant.
Yes.
And fearless.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, and she planted that inside of me that there are, the only limitations of possibility are self-imposed.
Right. Yes.
Self-imposed. I mean, there are societal,
of course,
elements, right?
Yes.
There are environmental elements, but you can be inside of an environment that may not be conducive for your tree to grow.
Right.
And it's like a couple of days ago, we were walking our dog China, and I saw in the concrete there was this little plant in the middle of the concrete sidewalk.
Yep.
It was like a little oasis that had this small plant.
Yep.
In the concrete. You would not think that something would grow where there was just sidewalk.
Right.
But as we walked past, we said, oh my gosh, look at this little plant growing out of this concrete.
Right. Yeah.
So even inside of environments that are not soil for what it is that you want to do, you can still find something to latch on to that becomes your soil.
Right.
That you're able to feed yourself, whether it's a book, whether it's watching a YouTube video, whether it's connecting with a mentor, whether it's finding, a course or some specialized knowledge on a thing so that you can grow out of the concrete of your situation into a plant.
And sometimes that thing is already inside us. Dormant, maybe, But even if let's just say worst case scenario, if there's no one in your corner, it is possible to draw from within. Because I do believe that each of us, we are born with this. It's how do you tap into it? And I think that's what, we've been lucky. I mean, it sounds like we have very similar, like my mother was fearless. My mother she taught me two things. That I wasn't any better than anyone else, but I sure as heck wasn't any less than anyone else. And so the world was my oyster. The world was whatever I wanted to be in it. That was my choice. And that's what I believed. So that's how I lived. And I think we talked about earlier how I identified myself as a child. I just always identified as an artist, like your little one, like yourself. Like it wasn't, I'm a Latina girl. It was, I'm an artist. And for me, that is how I've lived my life. That is the lens of everything that I've ever done in both music and art and business. Yeah. I identify from that core. And that's what I try to help, with the young people that I work with and with other startup entrepreneurs is how do you tap into that? Because it's there. It's there. So I don't really buy into the excuse of like starving artists. It's not even a part of my vocabulary because I just don't believe in it.
Yeah. So about the thing that's inside of us that may be dormant. It's one of the reasons why I created the 100 Days Impact Challenge is to help create an environment, some tools, community, some soil, for people to be able to take that thing that's most important, that they've always wanted to do, that they've held back on, or whether that's creating a business, whether that's putting out music or becoming an artist, whether that is something unrelated, like some health aim, whether it's having a relationship, whether it's growing your audience, whether that's, creating a nonprofit, whatever that thing is for you, you're able to take inside of 100 days inside. And I have a course inside of the 100 Days Impact Challenge that talks about behavior and some of the things that are needed in order to have sustained impact in an area. And every single day there's a video that comes, a value video and so forth. Well, this is soil, right? I don't know why I'm talking about plants, plants and soil and all of that today, but the 100 Days Impact Challenge is soil for people. Really, it is. And as a community that helps nourish them to produce results. For example, there's a woman in the challenge that I found out a couple of days ago. What's the day? Tuesday? Yesterday. She shared that she made more income in the past 90 days. Okay, because we still, because she's like 90 days on in her 100 Days Challenge.
Okay.
But whenever someone starts, their day one starts, right? So she started, 90 days ago. She said, I've made more money in these 90 days than I did for the past 3 years. Over 6 figures, blah, blah, blah. Right. Just in the challenge. And she's also in Wealth and Impact Bootcamp, but she used the challenge to accelerate.
Sure.
Right. And so, another thing I want to, so if it's not inside of you, okay. So inside of the 100 Days Challenge, we have special sessions where I invite guests in, I interview them, for the people that are in the inner circle in the 100 Days Challenge. And yesterday I had on Dr. Mark Goldston, and he's a psychiatrist, and he was an FBI hostage negotiator. And I mean, he's brilliant. He's top of his field, written many books of helps people with addiction, etc., behavior change. He's just a field expert.
Right.
And he shared, and I'm going to share that here with you and your audience.
Right. And I hope everyone's paying attention.
Yeah. So this is a hack that I got from Mark.
Uh-huh.
If you can't find it inside of you, then what you do is you look outside of you.
Right.
And it could be someone that you know. So whether it's a former teacher or a present teacher or a parent or an uncle or aunt or friend or the family or someone that really believes in you or had believed in you.
Uh-huh.
So that's an access point.
Right.
Or someone you don't know that you believe in.
Oh.
Right. And so let's say that's a celebrity. Let's say that's an artist. Let's say it's Oprah Winfrey. Let's say it's whoever that is, an athlete or a scientist, Neil deGrasse Tyson, or whoever, right? Whoever that is. Beyonce, I don't know, J-Lo, whoever that is for you.
The sky's the limit.
Right? Whoever that is, that figure is. And you take their picture, you create a journal, and you put their picture right there. And then you track what it is that you're going to do. How's that going? And so this person that you respect,
right,
that either believes in you or you believe in them and they can talk to you. It may sound crazy.
No, actually,
it may sound crazy.
Not to me.
I know that for you.
Mm-hmm.
But you might want to be crazy because sometimes it takes being crazy to do some crazy things that are going to make an impact in your life and they're going to make an impact in other people's lives. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you need to do some abnormal things in order to create abnormal results.
Yes.
So you have that person, and that person is your accountability for that dream.
Oh my gosh, Marcus. It's happening again. The same thing like when we talked last time. I'm getting the goosebumps.
So, and this is what 100 Days Impact Challenge is all about. And there are tools like that all nested inside of the 100 Days journey, right? And so that's one of the reasons why I created it, is so that it could be of massive help for those people, whether you have soil or you don't have soil, whether you have it inside of you or you don't have it inside of you and you need it from outside of you, whether you have it outside and you're developing it inside, wherever you are, this is the opportunity.
Yes. Thank you for sharing. And I know that we can put this on our group page, your link and all that information. I don't know if you've seen the Facebook group page yet, but that's where we can put all that information.
Oh, fantastic.
And, we'll be sure to do that. I don't type fast enough, so I'm not going to try to do it right now. But we'll get it in there. I promise.
Fantastic.
Can we go back to the creation of this challenge? The reason that you did this, was it to help yourself? Was it to help someone else? How did that seed, since we're talking about plants, how did that seed grow into this, how did it morph and become what it was? Like, what was the origin for you?
Yeah, so the origin came from the Wealth and Impact Bootcamp program, because around election time, because in that program I do a webinar every month where I'm talking about how to create your mission, or there are different aspects of wealth and impact that I talk about on those webinars, and there's a course and all of that. But this particular webinar was happening during election season. And what I saw was, wait a minute, you know, because I like things to be relevant to what's happening in the world, right? There are a lot of opportunities inside of what's happening in the world. And so on this webinar, I was saying to the group, you have this opportunity to elect yourself.
Oh.
You have the opportunity to campaign for your most important aims. And inside of that, so Roosevelt, when he was carrying the country out of the Great Depression, that's where the origin of 100 Days started.
Oh, I see.
And so that's why every president that comes into office, their first 100 days is crucial because it sets the tone of their presidency.
Wow.
And so if you are taking on your own campaign for what's important to you, then as soon as you accept a challenge to do that, your 100 days starts.
Right.
And so I created the guidelines and so forth. And then about the next month, I checked in. I said, so how's your 100 days going, right? And Carmen, one participant came on and said, I don't even recognize myself. I've raised money for this project in Haiti. I've never raised money before. I'm flying next week to Haiti. There's like kids and engineers waiting for me there. Another person came on and said, hey, you know, I lost my gigs. A musician. I lost my gigs during COVID, and basically I haven't been doing anything. And so I started going live every single day. And now my music, I'm learning my repertoire again. I'm back. So he's like coming out of a depression and like that, right? Then another person, same thing. I think it's Anne Marie is her name. She said, you know, I took on a health challenge and I'm dealing with this disease and my health has improved as a result of the changes I have been making with my health. And so I realized that this is a movement. There's an opportunity for this to be a movement of help for people.
To change the world.
And so one participant said, hey, can I start talking about this? And I said, well, let me think about it.
Right.
And the next day I woke up and it was like it came down to me and said, this is an opportunity to provide some of the biggest amount of value and help I can for people, for humanity, is by starting this 100-day impact challenge and going public with it. And so that's what's happened.
That's incredible, Marcus. That's just amazing to me. Like it's brilliant, but more than that, it's this, you're doing something. You know, there's a lot of people, Marcus, as we both know, there's a lot of people that do a lot of talking. But to me, I'm always so honored and overwhelmed with when I meet someone like yourself who is actually doing it. You're literally helping people change their lives. And by doing so, you're changing the world. Thank you. Really. Thank
you, Carmen.
I mean, it's incredible. And the dedication and your passion for this. You know, I asked my guests, I just want everyone to know, I asked my guests, what would you like to talk about? You know, and your reply came back, I want to talk about the 100-day challenge. I mean, a lot of people want to promote themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, and I get it. That's what this platform is also designed to do. Promote the books and, the music and all of that they're creating. But it wasn't about you. You wanted to talk about this. And that's why I'm so happy to be able to have this chat with you and have this discussion, because I think there's a lot of programs out there that are not what they are marketed to be.
Yeah. So one thing I want to say, Carmen, about talkers. So if everything starts from somewhere, right? And when you're bringing forth a new conversation, right? A new idea. There are people that are gifted with the ability to communicate ideas. And then there are people that are gifted with the ability to execute.
Yes.
Ideas.
Right.
And so speaking is one part of the equation. If you're not good at executing an idea, then someone that is a communicator of ideas or an inventor of ideas, sometimes those are three different people. Right. You have someone that invents the idea, right? Yes. And then there's a communicator of that idea that gets everybody hyped up around it. They're not doing anything, but they're getting people hyped up around it. And then there's someone that's actually going to do the thing that's necessary for it to be manifested, to be actualized, to be realized, to become something real in the world. Right. And so for the talkers out there, get with a doer.
Right.
For the doers out there that don't have something to do, get with an inventor. Right. And also, and find someone that is a communicator, that's a talker, that can get. And now you've put together, your founding, your first three employees for some type of entrepreneurial endeavor that is going to help people and going to take something from idea, from talk into action. And then, of course, you're going to need someone that's going to have to do the accounting and the contracts and all of that, right? So that's the fourth personality that you will need in your mix.
4 and 5.
You don't get in trouble with your great ideas that you communicated to a whole bunch of people that had a lot of people doing things, and now you're covered.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the four elements.
Right.
And the more honest we are with where we are, like I'm an inventor, I'm a communicator, and I do some things, but there are people that are real doers.
Right.
And so I work really well with people that do things, because I can give you a lot of things to do.
It's called delegating. I love that.
And the bigger your vision, the more there is for people to do.
Correct.
So the 100 Days Impact Challenge, there's a team of people that are supporting. There's technologists. There are people that are right now. There's a coach that helps support people. There's a structure for supporting people to go through the 100 Days Impact Challenge. And so it's a whole world. And a lot of times people try and do things on their own, and that's why they fail.
Right.
Because they're doing it by themselves. There's not a structure. There's not a community. There's not all those things that are needed. And guess what? We did the work for you.
Right.
It's all set up.
Right.
For you to thrive. And so yeah, like that.
Where do they, I know that we want to be mindful because you've got a little one that's got to get to sleep. So, but I thought last time we ran out of time. I feel like we're running out of time again. We have so much to talk about. You're going to have to come back, Marcus.
Yeah. Well, I can go for another 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. We can tell everyone where to find information on your program. We can tell them, and then I'll go back and type it in as well. But if you'd like to share, the social medias or whatever it is, please do that.
Sure. Yeah. So the best way to kind of plug into the challenge is to go to the website. It's 100 days with a Z. 2021.
Okay.
100, 100 DAYZ 2021.
Okay.
And people can register for the challenge. It's $1 a day, right? So it's $100 for the challenge, and the amount of value that you get is people keep saying, I can't believe this is $1 a day. But yeah, because it's for the people.
Right.
And,
well, and that's what I was going to say. I mean, there's so much talk about inclusivity, and there is such a thing as inclusive pricing.
Yes.
And you're right there. So again, thank you for being the real deal. I'm really, I get so emotional. I don't even know. I'm just in awe of what you give to the world. And thank you.
Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you so much. What you're doing is, again, so very important. And you're doing this in a different way than a lot of people do it. And again, this is not criticizing other people. I'm just pointing out how this is a different way to change lives. For $1 a day, you created this program so that anyone who wants to change their lives and make an impact on the world for good can do it. Bottom line, it doesn't get any better than this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marcus, I really appreciate your time. Please give your little one a big hug. Good night.
I will. And much love to you. Thank you again, Carmen, for inviting me on to have a conversation. I love what you're doing in the world, and let's call this part 2.
I know.
and for whoever's listening to this, whatever it is that's inside of you that it's time. It's your time. It's time to plant yourself, plant the seeds of your dreams in soil so that you can grow into what you were meant to be and do the things that you were meant to do for the people you are here to help. And we all have that inside of us. And whether it's you participating in 100 Days Impact Challenge or you just taking an idea that's going to make an impact for people, just do it. Just do it.
Yep. Just like that. Just do it. And Marcus, if there's anything that I can help you with, please don't hesitate. I am just, again, I'm just in awe. So thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you again, Marcus.
All right.
This was one of the most incredible conversations that I've had. I will never forget this. Thank you. Good night, Marcus.
Love and light to you.
Thank you. Likewise.
Good night, and good night, whoever's watching, or good morning, or whenever you're listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcus. Bye-bye. Good night. Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, I hope that you were able to get some of this information, but we will have it on our Facebook group page, Confidence Strategies with Carmen Milagro. $1 a day, and you can transform your life with the help of Marcus Bell. We are pretty much out of time, and so I wanted to thank you all for staying with us and joining us. We'll see you next month. May 18th, I believe, is the date. I'll have to double check. But I have another special guest coming up, and she is an incredible survivor, single mom, and a book author. Her name is Sheetal Ori, and she is a friend and someone else that I admire. And we'll hear her story, her challenges, and the way that she's changing the world as well. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you are thriving and that we are able to help you in some way. This is Confidence Strategies with Carmen Milagro, and we're signing out for the evening. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to comment and, like us and share the videos on YouTube and Facebook. And we'll see you next month right here on Confidence Strategies with Carmen Milagro. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. See you soon. Bye.